What's up, y'all? Okay, look, I just got water on my freaking shirt. Caught myself trying to come out here to talk to y'all. I want to talk to y'all about Section 8. Let's have a conversation. Yes, I was someone who used to have Section 8, and I had it for a while. I also grew up as a kid being on Section 8. My mom had it. So I knew when she had it, I was like, yeah, that ain't nothing I want to be on. I don't want to be, on Section 8, having the government telling me what I can and I cannot do. So I knew from when I was a kid that I wanted better. Excuse that water staying out. Also, look, why I got y'all here, okay? We're going to talk about Section 8, but we're also going to talk about my business, okay? I'm a business partner with a company called TLC. The name for that company is Total Life Changes. They are based in Michigan, Grand Rapids, Michigan. And what we do is sell health and wellness products. And we're changing people's lives one day at a time, okay? And so I'm going to show 3 of the products that are #1 sellers. And I'm going to tell you what it is they do. So this is IASO tea. We have 3 different flavors. This is the fruit punch. We have lemonade as well as watermelon. And we have the original flavor. And there's a traditional. But with these flavored ones, they're instant. So you can drink these hot or cold, all right? And what it does, if you're dealing with bloatingness, it detoxes the body, removes the toxins from your body. And when you're detoxing, it promotes weight loss, okay? So, definitely check our products out. We also have the original brewed, okay? You get the same results, but you just brew that tea. And 1 pack makes a gallon. So you can drink on that for the week. If you drink it for 5 days, you can lose 5 pounds. Another one of our great sellers is NutriBurst. NutriBurst. You're saying, what is this? Or you might have seen it. You might know what it is. So for the ones who do not know, this is a multi-liquid vitamin. All right, taking 1 tablespoon is equivalent to eating 10 salads, and it's liquid. This is the travel pack. You can get it in a bottle form, or you can get the travel pack. 30 comes in a pack, okay? And then my next one is NRG. What does that sound like? NRG is a energy supplement. It helps with energy. It also helps with mind clarity if you're dealing with any type of anxiety. Now I'm gonna say this: if you're wanting to take our products and you want to get the kit, these 3 products that I just mentioned comes in a kit. And anytime you're changing your lifestyle when it comes to like health and wellness, eating right, you're going to go through some anxiety, okay? Because you're going to want to go back to those old habits, but you're trying to recreate new habits and eating habits. And so this is definitely going to help aid with that. But you can absolutely take each product separately if you don't want to do a cleanse, a detox. You can use these separately. But I would highly recommend all products, especially for my truck drivers. I am a truck driver, and I know the importance of taking care of your body, needing energy, and also, keeping your weight balanced. All right, a lot of truckers be walking around with big stomachs. Okay, I'm just going to call it what it is, okay? Walking around with big stomachs, and that causes health problems. Do you know you can die from that? And if I am with a company and I'm able to be able to tell another trucker about it, why not? Okay, these products are amazing. All right, so I told you about that. You also have the opportunity to become my business partner, where you can sell these products too. From my stay-at-home moms, anybody that's looking for a side hustle, or if you want to start a business, this is a great opportunity. You can have your business up and running within 48 hours. It's going to come with the website, with the products already on the website, as well as a back office. And each time you sell a product without you having a product, you make $20. It's people making money in their sleep. So why not be a part of a company that is helping change lives? That's why it's called Total Life Changes. Anyway, we're about to get back to the video. Hold on. All right, so look, we're talking about Section 8. All right, so I told you guys that I grew up being a kid that was on Section 8, and I also had it. I was a young mom. I had 1 child at the time, and I was working. I've worked since I was 14 years old, if not probably younger. I've always been a hustler, and that's one thing I can pride my mother on. She installed that hustler mentality in me. My mom was a hustler too, but sometimes it would be the dirty way. And I looked at her and said, that's not how I want to live. I want to be honest. I'm going to say she did a good job with me. I've always been an honest child. I've always been that child not getting in trouble. just doing everything that was right. And I had to also give thanks to people that were influential to me. You know, even though my mom, she did stuff that was negative, in and out of jail. Now she's in prison. She's been there 27 years. I did have people in my life showing me like the things to do right in life, okay? And so they inspired me, and I looked at it and said, hey, you know, I accept my mom for who she is, you know, but I love what this person is doing, and I would love to grow up and be like that. And so I've always gravitated to that. So anyway, I've always been a worker. At the time, I was a young mom. I had a daughter, and I was working. I started off being a home health aide. I was working in a group home with mentally challenged elderly people. They range, I'm gonna say elders. They range from the age of 40 to 80. Okay, and I took care of them every day. I drove them to their adult daycares. I cooked for them. I made sure they was bathed. I did everything. I administrated medication. And so after I had my daughter, I ended up getting my CNA license, and I became a CNA. Now, I was later introduced to Section 8. Actually, I was introduced to Section 8 when I was a home health aide, while I was working at that group home, actually. And so I had a relative, well, a friend, well, I'm gonna say relative, because she was married into my daughter's family. So it was on my daughter's side of the family. Me and this cousin had got close with each other, and she had moved like I think an hour or two away from my hometown, which is Indianapolis, Indiana. She was in Terre Haute, and she was like, hey, cuz, she was like, the Section 8 list is about to open. She was like, I just got mine. They gonna have it open again. You need to come down here and stay with me to get on the waiting list. And I'm like, for real? And she was like, yeah. She was like, I know you want it. She was like, you just had the baby. I know you out here working, and you've been paying your rent and everything by yourself. But she said, this is a way to help you until you get on your feet. I said, absolutely. And I said, I'm gonna still work. So I went and stayed with her. I got on the list. And then it moved so fast. I think within 2 weeks, I had the Section 8 voucher. So, you know, when you get a voucher, you can transport with that. You can live anywhere that accepted it. Now, back in this time, a lot of people was not accepting, you know, Section 8, you know, because some people had messed up the reputation. And some people were kind of scared. But then you were running to private landlords, hey, yes, I want it. And the reason why they wanted it, because they knew it was guaranteed rent. They knew if that resident didn't pay their portion, that Section 8 for sure was going to pay the majority of the portion. And depending on how your income is based off, I think it's like 40%, but it really depends on how much you make. So I've always worked, so I've always had to pay 45% of the rent. And I've always stayed in nice properties. So I got my voucher. I had to stay in Terre Haute for a year. I got me was it a 2-bedroom? Yeah, I had got a 2-bedroom apartment, and it was nice. It was like actually a duplex. It was a 1-level duplex, and it was clean. It was nice. One thing I kind of didn't like about it, it was like in a little hick town where mailing people was not really accepted, and the unit they gave me was like on a corner, so it was like really dark. So I would still work in my hometown, but I would travel back and forth to my home sometimes, okay? But when I was working, I would stay with a relative, and then I would go home, you know, and they helped me with my daughter as far as like babysitting her and stuff. So anyway, she ended up eventually getting a daycare though later. So anyway, after a year, I was wanting to transport back home. And they were saying they had just passed the rules saying that they were not going to allow any more transporting. I said, huh? I said, I absolutely cannot be here. I need to be around my family. I'm a single mom. My family take care of my daughter. I don't trust anybody with my child. Like, I was talking to them, and so they was like, okay, we'll transport you. Because it was in the same state. It was just a different city. So I got transported back to Indianapolis, Indiana. It took a long process, okay? Transporting, it can take 30 to 45 days, if not longer sometimes, because those caseworkers, they move slow. And the reason why is because they be having caseloads. I get it. Now, so while I'm trying to transport, I had a cousin say, hey, these apartments in Castleton. Now, Castleton in my hometown was a nice area. It's still nice to this day. It's a suburb. They have low income, and they're taking applications. I said, but you know, I got a Section 8 voucher. She was like, yeah, use it until you get there, because they take Section 8 too. And so I was like, okay. I told the lady, you know, what was going on. She was like, yeah. She said, the only thing about that, you know, usually when you got a voucher, before you move in, they have to inspect it. I said, I know. She said, well, we giving you this, we'll let you use it. All right, cool. So I moved in. It took Section 8 a while to transport it. Once they did, They came out, inspected. I told them everything that was going on, and it got approved. And so I stayed in those apartments, for a little minute. I think until my daughter was like 4. And then I ended up moving into a newly constructed built home that some black business owners were trying to start. They had about 6 houses that they had built in this little area. They had bought land and built the home. It's a whole story with that. But I had got that. I was working at the nursing home. At this time I became a CNA, so I was working at the nursing home, and I had 2 daughters. By the time my daughter was 3, I had my second child. So when we moved out, my oldest daughter was 4, and I got the house. I ended up getting engaged to a pastor while I got Section 8. I'm still working, okay? And we eventually ended up moving out of that. The plan was for us to buy a home for me to get off. Well, unfortunately, after we moved from that house, it was a whole lot of crazy stuff going on with the house, y'all. I have to tell you about that's another story. He unfortunately passed away. I'm gonna share a story on that. But I still continue to have the Section 8. And when my husband passed away, my youngest sister was murdered. I inherited her kids. So I went from being a widow with 2 kids to 4 kids. We had another sister, eldest sister, we hadn't seen in like 9 years. I knew she had a daughter, but I never met her. I never met the daughter. I just knew my sister had this child, but I never got to meet her. And so one day I get a call saying that, you know, they had, child services had my niece, and they seen that I had my other sister's kids that passed away. Would I be interested in my eldest sister? I said, absolutely. What is going on with my sister? They said, we tell you later. So that's a whole story. I got a story on that. They told me it was just devastating. So I went from being a widow with 2 kids to a widow with 6 kids. Now, my 2 kids was not by the man that I married. I had those kids by, it was a previous relationship before I got married. He had 3 kids by a previous relationship. He was married to a woman and blah, 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 okay? So anyway, I was a widow mom. I had 6 kids. I had the Section 8 voucher. I had income coming in. Now, with me having all these kids, because every child, you know, had their own needs, okay? My youngest sister was murdered by her abuser in front of 2 of her kids. Her son at the time was 3 years old, and she had a 2-month-old daughter. So he was traumatized. And the niece I got, oh my God, she had been exposed to so much, never went to school, had a severe speech impediment. It was a lot. And so I had to dedicate my life to those kids, but I still had Section 8. So I had moved out of, at the time when my husband passed away, we had a 2-bedroom apartment that was like a condo. So I had to move out of there because I had got all these kids. And you know, according to how many kids you got, the bigger your voucher as far as like space and room goes, and then the dollar amount as well. And so even though I had income, I still qualified because now I'm a foster parent, you know, and I have these extra kids. And so I ended up moving into a 4-bedroom townhouse with the 6 kids. Hold on, let me back up a little bit. I had 6 because I had 2 when my husband passed away, and I had my 3rd child. I was pregnant with my 3rd child when I got my eldest niece. So anyway, baby, that was a journey. It's a whole nother story, y'all. I gotta tell, it's a whole nother story. And I think I did share it, but I'm gonna have to reshare it again. So anyway, I had it then. I knew that I wanted to get out of the townhouse because the area we was in, it once was good, but then it started just going down. And so I had a relative visit me that had moved away from my hometown. She had moved to Atlanta, Georgia with her family. And she came to see me and said, hey, cuz, you need help with these kids. Me and my husband can help you. Come stay with me, da-da-da-da. I was like, I ain't gonna stay with you, but let me go see. I fell in love with it. And I was able to transfer the voucher to Georgia. We might have a little break because my apartment is doing a tour right now. So, yeah, I did a transfer. I had to go through a process though before I can actually move there with the kids. I had to go through a adoption process. Okay, so because my nieces and my nephew were children that were in need of services, they had to move fast to get them adopted. So I had to wait through that process. It took about a 1.5 years. yeah, about a year and a half to get that process done, and we went through the storm. So I still was able to go through the process of transferring my voucher to Georgia, and I ended up finding that house probably in 30 days once it got transferred. Now, it didn't take them long, it seemed like, because I was on them every day, like, I'm ready to get up out of this place. I'm calling the social worker, hey, how long can we speed this adoption process up? I'm ready to get up out of here, because I was just seeing so many loved ones die. I was ready for a new start for me and my kids, and so it didn't take long. My voucher got transported to Georgia. I found a house just like that, because Georgia was taking these vouchers out here. You can get newly constructed homes and subdivisions. It was much different, okay? It wasn't shunned down on here, because one thing about Atlanta be rich poor, okay? People be out here living like they good and they be struggling, okay? And so anyway, I wasn't struggling at the time though, but I'm just saying this. Everybody know. Those who know get it. For the ones who get it, know, okay? So anyway, I was able to transport. I got a 4-bedroom, single-family house, over 2,000 square foot, 2.5 baths, a nice backyard. It was nice. I thought I was moved in a nice area. And that's another story. When you got many kids, you got to make sure that neighborhood you move in, you know, and Georgia will fool you, because they got nice homes out here, but it could be in the hood, and I didn't know. I'm thinking because Tia and Tiny, you know, was the neighbors. My my oldest niece that I had adopted, she was with the school with King, Tia and Tiny's son. They was in the same classroom. She met him. We would see him occasionally or whatever. So I'm thinking it's good until my house got broken. And it's a bad feeling getting your house broken when you are a single parent. And when we came home, my kids is just crying. Video game was stolen. They ate food. They had a good time up in their house. They got stuff. Just glass doors broke. It was just terrible, y'all. And so I knew then I had to immediately move out. So I contacted the housing authority to let them know what had happened, and I needed to move with my kids out of the neighborhood. And I was able to do just that. Now, this is crazy. When I first came to Atlanta with the voucher, trying to look for housing for me and the kids, I kind of went through it a little bit. Some people just like, oh no, I don't want to take Section 8. So a lot of private owners don't want to take it because the process is kind of long and they're real strict about certain things. And so, no, I don't want to take it. So it was a neighborhood I went to. The first neighborhood I went to wasn't too far from my cousin who already lived in Georgia in the same area. And I'm like, oh, I want to live up here. It was so nice. I actually did a tour on it because my son passed away in the house. Go check that video out, y'all. So I'm just like, this is nice. I want to live over here. But the lady was like, she didn't take it. And so when I had got approval from Section 8 that I can move out of that house into another one, this rental property company had just started taking Section 8, and they was taking Section 8 like crazy, and they had a lot of nice properties. And so that same neighborhood that the lady said she didn't want to take, they were now homeowners, was now with the property management company. They were saying, yes, absolutely, we take Section 8, because they knew that it was guaranteed money. They knew that, and it was a wave effect. And so just like that, I got approved. Now I would say this: you have to have income, and your credit has to be nice. No evictions, okay? And I had some decent credit. I had no bad credit. So I was able to get approved just like that. I moved in the house maybe a week later, if that. It happened so fast. And so this house was bigger. It was in a really nice subdivision, a nice area. It came with a resort style clubhouse. I mean, it had everything: a tennis court, walking trail, basketball courts. I'm living out in the neighborhood with celebrities, okay? Yes, celebrities. Now, I did live in a cul-de-sac. Some of the neighbors I was not a fan of. My kids, had some encounters with them, and it was just crazy. But unfortunately, that house is where my son had passed away at. And so when that happened, it was a switch in life for me. And my dad is from Chicago. He kept saying, well, won't you come here? You haven't came to Chicago, you need to live out here. I can help you with the kids. You won't have to pay for daycare for your youngest daughter, because I'll take care of her. Me and your stepmom got her. And I'm like, Chicago? I can't stand the cold. I'm from the Midwest. I'm a Midwest girl. And I moved to, one of the reasons too I moved away, because I didn't like the cold, okay? I didn't want to deal with snow, and I hadn't dealt with it in a while. And so I'm just like, ugh. Okay, I might do it. And then I ended up getting in a relationship, and so I'm just like, ugh, okay, I might do it. So my dad kept saying, you need to come so I can help with the kids. We already done lost my grandson. Come on out here. So I ended up coming. And then I found a house out there. We moved into a suburb that was racist, okay? Each one of my kids experienced racism. So I stayed there for almost 2 years. My dad did just what he said. Him and my stepmom, they watched my daughter every day. They would not allow me to pay them. I was working. I was a forklift driver. And they wouldn't take the money. So my daughter created a lot of great memories with her grandparents, her step-grandmom, her granddad. And to this day, you know, she still, hey, Papa. So we created great memories. And then eventually I moved back, okay, to Georgia. And after that, I was off Section 8 because my goal was, okay, this is not a long-term thing, especially during the time when I had all the kids. I was in college. I didn't mention I went to college when I was in Georgia. Hey, I was just making it happen. I just knew that I didn't want to say I had all these kids, so I knew I wanted better. So the reason why I went to college is like, okay, I want better for my kids. I want to be a homeowner, and I want to be self-sufficient. I like to make money, so I don't want somebody telling me like, hey, in order for you to qualify for this program, you can only make a certain amount. Now, I will say this. I wish I would have utilized it to buy a house because you can buy a house on Section 8, okay? I wish I would have utilized it for that, but I started making money, you know, that surpassed the threshold of the income, and so I was just like, bye. And I prayed about it too. I was like, God, I'm thankful to have it, but I don't want this to be my end result in life. I want more out of life. I want to make more money. I want to be able to afford the lifestyle that I want to live. And so he did just that. And I just got to thank him for that. So moral of the story, just because you got Section 8, it does not mean that you're going to live in the hood. You're not going to take care of the property, because all my houses that I had, I took care of them. They was furnished nice. They was sanitary, kept clean. Everybody that's on it does not abuse it, okay, and keep their properties just in a disarray and just destroying the properties. Like I said, when I moved back, everybody started accepting it. Like, people wanted it. You would even see realtors talking about, yeah, I bought this property and I'm getting Section 8 tenants in here because I know this is guaranteed money. They know it's guaranteed money. So yeah, that's my Section 8 story. And yes, I did have it. I grew up on it. I used to have it. I got off. I became self-sufficient, and I've been on my own for a long while now. And so so after I didn't have any, I let it go because I started making money. I moved into some really nice houses that I was able to pay my rent on my own time when I had these other houses. And then now I downsized because I'm like, I had moved to Dallas, Texas. I had became a truck driver, moved to Dallas, Texas. I was getting a lot of work out there. And so I was also, let me put this out too. I was a truck driver and I was getting work out there, but the main source of my income was coming from being a content creator, okay? Facebook in particular at that time was paying me 5 to 6 figures. I was making anywhere from $8,000 to $12,000 a month off of content. So I was like, oh, I can take a little break from trucking. I'm also a professional tax preparer. I can start focusing on taxes. And I can continue with my content and make money, okay? And so it went real good. It took care of me while I was there. But then it changed. 2024, it changed. It shifted. It went from that, you know, I still was making thousands, but not those big thousands, okay? It went from 8 to 12 to 2,000 to 4,000. I said, oh, no. Oh, no. We got to find something else. So anyway, I ended up downsizing. I said, well, let me see if my cost can be low, because my expense in Dallas was crazy. If I would have used it right, I could have just purchased, and it would have been I purchased a home and been a lot cheaper, but I know now. So anyway, really, I'm still paying high because I live in a luxurious apartment. Hold on, y'all. These are some of the amenities that come with it. Okay, I live in a luxurious, it's supposed to be affordable, but baby, it ain't affordable. It's houses that are newly constructed cheaper than what I'm paying for a 3-bedroom apartment. But I'm thankful. I'm not gonna complain, because I'm thankful to be in a place I could be homeless. You know, I could have nothing going on. So I'm thankful for it. But anyway, I just wanted to share my story of Section 8 with y'all. Some people's like, oh, the government gonna take it. Let's talk about why Section 8 was created. Because back in 1974, the poverty level of people being housed was really terrible. President Nixon signed the bill for it to be passed that, you know, they were going to help families. Now, I will say 43% of people that are on Section 8, guess how many percentage of single mothers? 42%. So some people's like, oh, it should be for veterans, disabled people, which it is. But it's also for single parent moms. Y'all not about to knock them out the ballpark. I'm a single parent mom. Y'all not about to knock us out the ballpark. There's some single parent moms out here working, doing what they got to do to take care of their family. They not just using it and not doing nothing with their lives. So don't knock everybody. Talking about, oh, I'm so glad Trump about to take it away. Keep saying whatever, but at the end of the day, it's here now. And God gonna provide regardless of the naysayers or negative people. But I am a person that was a recipient of Section 8. I am no longer on it. But I will always tell, if anybody's trying to get on it, they got an opening about to happen in Georgia on the 31st of this month. I mean, was it the 31st? Might have passed already. I don't know, but look at the local housing authority to see if they have openings now. They've been real tight shut, especially in Georgia. But look at local housing authorities to see if they have a waiting list. Get on the waiting list, because I was when I first got it, I was on it, and then I got it in 2 weeks. And just see if you qualify. If you qualify, hey, get it, okay? It can help, because we are in a this economy is real messed up. We're in a recession right now. All right, if I can get it today, but I would go apply, and I'm still gonna be a truck driver and do everything else I need to do until they say you can't do it. But this time I would go purchase a house. Okay, because they got programs that help you with that. So anyway, y'all, I have rambled enough. I hope that this video has been good. Okay, for y'all, hold on. Okay. All right, I'm out, y'all. I'll talk to y'all later.